Hey everyone, I'm Ultima456, you're the Ultimates, and welcome to episode 70 of Let's Platinum Elden Ring. Alright, first things first, I've got to read those ancestral spirit follower ashes. A spirit of the Horned Folk who eschew letters and metalworking, brawny and versed in distinctive spiritual arts, this particular tribesman wields a heavy bow. Cool. Alright, let's talk to Seluvis.
I've no time for idle chit-chat. The only thing I will hear from you is a report of your task's completion. Are we understood? Then off you trot. I have enough on my plate.
Okay, but because we talked to Blythe in Sofra River, we can ask him about Nokron, so let's do that.
Well, you're asking me about that, are you? The task was left to you and the mongrel, was it not? Not only are you incompetent, but shameless to boot. Well, there's no helping it. Now's as good a time as any. I'll let you in on it. There's a glintstone sorcerer by the name of Selin in Limgrave. She owes me for the help I gave her when she was expelled from the academy. I asked her to look into the matter some time ago. I'll write you a letter of introduction. Go ask her.
Okay, and we receive Celibacy's introduction. One thing I like about Celibacy's design is the hat that he has is like a whole bunch of like stars and constellations and all this kind of stuff. It looks really cool, kind of like our Milky Way galaxy and all that. Okay, so let's head to Selin. She is still at the Waypoint Ruins here, or Waypoint Ruins cellar. It's a good thing that we have a grace point to her because we don't have one for Seluvis and we have to go back to him a couple of times. Alright, let's talk to Selin and see what she has to say.
There you are, my apprentice. Shall we commence the lesson?
Show letter of introduction.
Well, Seluvis is not a name I ever wanted to hear again. But fine. If it will help you, my apprentice, I offer my knowledge. The stars alter the fate of the Karian royal family, and the fate of your mistress, Rani. But long ago, General Radahn challenged the swirling constellations, and in a crushing victory arrested their cycles. Now he is the force that repulses the stars. If General Radahn were to die, the stars would resume their movement, and so too would Rani's destiny.
Okay, so she tells us that it's all because of Radahn. In order for us to help Rani, we need to defeat Radahn, and Radahn just so happens to be in Caelid. So we're going to move on to that next, but first we've got to go back to the Table of Lost Grace, the Round Table Hold, because we've got to do a few things. Alright, now I want to figure out how I'm going to do this. Let's start by talking to... I'm going to talk to Fia first, actually, of all people. I want to see what she has to say. Let's see.
I am pleased to see you again. Would you like me to hold you once more? Now, come closer.
Alright, let's let her hold us with this extremely funny headpiece on and see if that does anything different.
You are so very warm.
Alright, we received the Boulderkin's blessing and we can talk in secret. So this is a tricky thing because I don't know when this triggers. It's supposed to trigger after defeating Renala, but I'm positive that I went back and tried, like at least during my practice, I went back and tried to get this to activate and it didn't work. So I don't know what is the actual trigger. Let's talk in secret.
I was known as a deathbed companion. Where I come from, after I received the warmth and lively vigor from a number of champions, I lay with the remains of an exalted noble. To grant him another chance at life, to do so is the purpose of my being. But before I could bear the noble into new life, I was awakened by the guidance of grace and chased from my birthplace. Pray, be kind. Despite all that, I still wish to be a deathbed companion. So please, let me hold you like this, as often as it takes.
So is that what gives her strength? She said that like laying with, or being a deathbed companion gives her strength, and then she said she lay with the remains of an exalted noble, and that gave him another chance at life. So she can also transfer the energy, like she becomes strong, but then she can also give life, like essentially bring people back from the dead. I think that's what she's saying. Let's start with do you know?
My dear, have you ever heard of Black Knife Prince? Dear Roger likes to talk of them when abed, and the ancient plot in which the first of the demigods was slain. The black knives wielded by the assassins who committed the act, along with the impressions they made, somehow hide the truth of the conspiracy. These grand affairs are hardly my forte, but dear Roger began to weep as he spoke.
Alright, let's ask about the Black Knife print.
In truth, I've heard tell from someone else about the Black Knife prints that fascinate dear Roger so.
Okay, and rather abruptly you receive the knife print clue.
But it wouldn't be right to give this to him, stuck as he is in the round table hold. Perhaps you could make use of it?
You found a simple map. Check in inventory. Okay, so that's all we can do with Fia right now. We could ask her about the other thing that she has, but let's not do that just yet. Instead, let's try and get the knife print thing done first. Next thing I want to do is I actually really quickly want to talk to Roger, because we haven't talked to him in a while. I want to see what he has to say. Let's see.
Always good to see you safe. So, what do you need?
Okay, if we talk to him, that's going to end his quest line soon, so I'm not going to just yet. I will eventually, but not just yet. The next thing we can do is we can actually talk to Gideon. Where is he? There he is. We can talk to Gideon. Let's go talk to him. And the reason we can talk to Gideon, I think the reason is because we have Celibacy's potion. Now let's just say that him and Seluvis don't get along. So Celibacy's potion, we were supposed to give this to Nepheli. It says, a small flask received from Preceptor Seluvis containing a cloudy tonic of bluish black. Find Nepheli and ensure she drinks it. Okay, let's not do that and let's talk to Gideon instead.
Journey to the capital, Leyndell, to the east of the Altus Plateau, at the foot of the Erd Tree. The Two Fingers will deny your passage no longer. You may be our best hope. Find your way to the Elden Ring.
Okay, let's show him Celibacy's potion.
Is that potion what I think it is? Bloody Seluvis. I suppose he's up to something again. Oh, I won't interfere. You go ahead and do what you must. The Round Table has no code to speak of. But I ask you this. Are you really going to do the bidding of that twisted dolly botherer? Or would you rather hand that potion to me and see if we can't get one over on the bastard?
I love how he says, I won't interfere, but then I'm going to immediately interfere. Yeah, let's hand over Celibacy's potion. Do it.
Good. I'll dispose of the potion myself. You go and see Seluvis, but don't give anything away. Just tell him that you tricked your mark into drinking the potion, as planned. Despite knowing next to bloody nothing, he's so far up his own arse he won't suspect a thing. His inevitable display of arrogance will certainly be a sight to behold.
Okay, cool. So let's absolutely go do that. So the Black Knife print, we're going to leave that for the time being. We're going to continue the quest regarding Seluvis. So let's head back there. Just quickly while we go there, I want to say this is actually the second time I'm recording this episode. I happened to make like a safety save just before I started recording, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to make one just in case something happens, because I hadn't made one in a long time. And then I thought to myself, like after I finished recording this episode, I was just like, that could have been better. So I was like, yeah, I'll record it again and we'll do slightly different things. So I actually did the Black Knife print quest in this episode before, but then I decided against it because I had forgotten that I had to talk to Gideon, and I wasted time by heading back to Seluvis when I shouldn't have. Now I think we're okay. We can go to Seluvis. So let's see if we can do what we need to do. So we'll head to Seluvis and see what he has to say. Nope. And now let's see what he has to say.
Ah, so you made Nepheli drink the potion. Well done. You are a touch more useful than I had thought. Very well. Then you shall have your gift. Knowledge of the sorcerous arts and of the tutelage of the great preceptor Seluvis. I doubt much of it will lay within the grasp of a mere tarnished, but if you put your mind to it, perhaps you won't embarrass our lady.
Okay, talk to him again.
You wish to begin right this moment? Well, your impatience, though boorish, is understandable. Let's have at it.
Okay, so now we can do quite a few things. We can study sorcery, we can ask him about Nepheli, and we can ask him about the chambers. Let's ignore sorcery for right now. Let's talk about Nepheli.
So, you had Nepheli drink the potion? Truly? Then perhaps something was amiss with it. It's concocted from the finest ingredients, but perhaps I should review the recipe. I may have expected too much of her to begin with.
I always find it funny, like the game logic behind that. It's like, you had Nepheli drink the potion? Huh, maybe something's wrong with it, because obviously the potion was meant to do something like either infect her really badly or outright kill her. And then the way he says, like, maybe something was wrong with it is like, he just, Seluvis just went about his life and was keeping an eye on Nepheli somehow. I guess maybe he had like some kind of like magical way of keeping an eye on Nepheli, but they're so far away from each other right now. Like, he's all the way here in the Three Sisters and Nepheli is actually in Round Table Hold, I think. And it's like, oh yeah, but I still know what's going on with her. So it's kind of funny, the game logic. Now, about your chambers is the secret room that we found. So let's talk to him about that.
You break into a man's private chambers, rooting about as you please. Your offishness knows no bounds. Fine and well. You tricked Nepheli and had her drink the potion. I believe that makes you my accomplice. You yearn for a puppet of your own, Well, normally one of your stature would never be allowed. But perhaps I can make a very special exception. Now, choose.
Okay, so we are given the option of picking 2 different puppets for free, which is really cool. I did not collect either of these in my first playthrough. I did not know about them. I had a little bit of a conversation with Celibacy, but I never got this far. Another thing to note is that whichever one you don't pick, you will be able to buy later from him. And it just so happens that the Jar Right puppet is actually a little bit more expensive than the Finger Maiden Theralina puppet. So the best one to get is the Jar Right puppet. It's basically the Let Me Solo Her. And both of these characters are actually in his chambers. If you remember, I went there and saw them. Spirit of a man who wished to become the innards of a living jar, a jar-hurling specialist who throws all manner of pots and jars. The warrior jar once told the nameless man this: "You are not yet ready to join the warriors inside. No, you must apply yourself, better yourself, and one day I will return for you." And then for Theralina, it says, "Spirit of a finger maiden who never met the tarnished she was meant to guide. Uses healing incantations and holy water pots, but she is not a fighter by nature and is ill-suited to battle. A maiden without a tarnished without a maiden, and yet no guide to bring them together." So that's really cool. All right, let's get the Jar Right puppet. It's like the Jar Rule puppet. All right, now here's the thing. In order to actually buy the next puppets, we need to study sorcery and buy everything that he has, which is why I kept my my runes. So he has Carrion Phalanx, Carrion Retaliation, Glintstone Ice Crag, and Freezing Mist. Let's read these. One of the sorceries of the Carrion royal family creates a defensive arc of numerous magic glint blades overhead, which automatically attack nearby foes. This sorcery can be cast while in motion, an enhanced version of the glint blade sorcery used by enchanted knights. So I think this is the one that Royal Knight Loretta used against us in her second phase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. So there's 10 glint blades. So that's pretty cool. We unfortunately don't have the required intelligence to use that. We're not too far off, actually. Interesting. Carrion Retaliation. It's that same Ash of War, I think. Swing your staff to dispel incoming sorceries and incantations, using their power to retaliate with glint blades. This was the Carrion royal family's secret means to prepare against the disloyalty of the Academy. The moon and stars would one day go their separate ways. So yeah, this is also placed after Royal Knight Loretta. You can't get this beforehand. So I don't know why they gave you, why they put that option like just after you needed it. It's kind of strange. Glintstone Icecrack. Sorcery said to have been used by the old Snow Witch. The glintstone serves as a conduit, launching a mass of cold magic. This sorcery can be cast repeatedly and while in motion. The snowy crone taught the young Rani to fear the dark moon as she imparted her cold sorcery. And finally, Freezing Mist. Releases a cold mist before the caster. This sorcery can be cast while in motion. Charging enhances range of the mist. And the same thing, Snowy Crone taught the young Rani. Alright, so let's buy all of these. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Took quite a bit of souls, but that's all runes, but that's okay. Let's back out. And now if we back out again and talk to him one more time.
Begging for another lesson so soon? There remains much to be done. Make it quick.
Okay, so I think we have to reset the area. Let's just double check that. Because I actually only did this yesterday and it worked, so I'm thinking that that's the last thing I have to do, but we'll find out for sure in just a moment. Okay, now let's talk to him.
Begging for another.
Interesting. Okay. Maybe I may have to do this. I'm gonna quickly test this because I'm pretty confident that this was the correct way to do things. So I'm gonna go to Rani's Rise, back to the Table of Lost Grace, and back to Rani's Rise. And then I'll go to Celibacy again. And then it should work. If it doesn't work, then it'll come up later. Anyway, the other thing I'll talk about while I go there is I made a slight mistake very early on. It's not a big deal, but I said that the Starlight Shards, which you find in those like half bowls, that I think the idea is like they fall from the sky and then you can collect them. The Starlight Shards are actually not just used for FP regeneration. I can't even remember if I ended up using one in this playthrough, but they're not just for FP regeneration. They can actually... Why did that? What? I must have just missed slightly. They can actually be used as currency, and if we get what we want here...
Begging for another...
There we go. I want a new puppet.
What's that? You want another puppet? Quite the keen paramour, aren't we? But I'm afraid each and every one is like a child to me. I can hardly just give them away. Oh dear, what's to be done? Why don't you fetch me some Starlight Shards? If you can manage it, I'll gladly prepare a new puppet for you. The soul of every puppet has its own ambience. You'll soon come to know once you possess a few. And once each's predilections are known to you, the better you will be able to love them. Oh yes, you have much to look forward to further down this road.
Alright, let's obtain a puppet. Alright, so as you can see, they cost Starlight Shards to collect in the top left-hand corner. And had I picked the Theralina puppet, I would have had to pay 3 for the Jar White puppet, sorry. I've been reading that. Every time I read that, I think of like Jar Rule. And I can't do his crazy gravelly voice, so I'm not even going to try. Anyway, Finger Maiden Theralina puppet. So we read this before. Let's just buy it for the sake of buying it. You don't need to do this for the platinum, but I'm going to do it. Did I... Oh, interesting. I had 2 left. I think I used the Starlight Shard in my practice because I only had 1 left after I bought Theralina, and here I have 2. And I could have very well missed one, but I don't think so. All right, I think that's it.
You're proving to be quite the puppeteer. I've not had an apprentice for a very long time indeed.
Actually, no, that's not it. I think we can continue talking. Anything else?
Begging for another...
Yes, after we do that, we can talk to him about the scheme. Let's see what he has to say about that.
Perhaps you'll be interested in a little scheme of mine. It will produce the finest of puppets, which I aspire to cherish with these very hands. A ploy to fool even Lady Rani. How does that sound?
Okay, now, it actually doesn't really matter what you say here. I I think it's better to say I'm interested. Don't worry, there's not going to be any negative complications for saying I'm interested. Let's do it.
I knew I had you pegged. You're just like me. Then I'd like you to procure something. A rather unique Starlight Shard that glistens with amber. With that, my special draft will gleam with nectar sweetness. And even a demigod would be slave to its charms.
Okay, so he wants us to get something called Amber Starlight. Let's quickly ask him about it.
Procure it for me. The rather unique Starlight Shard that glistens with amber. With that, my special draft will gleam. And even a
Okay, cool. So that's it for now. Quick thing before we end. It is possible to complete this whole quest and then use a celestial dew to absolve ourselves, because it's gonna basically he's going against Rani and then we would go against Rani. Wow, those leaves on the door are terrible. That's the first time I've noticed that so bad. Anyway, yeah, this would make Rani dislike us quite a lot, and it would be bad. We wouldn't be able to complete Rani's quest. However, apparently it's possible to absolve yourself using some celestial dew, of which I currently have 2. Yeah, 2. So I'm not 100% sure. I might try it on my practice file first to see if there's an issue, but at the same time I'm like, I guess it's not that risky because I got, yeah. I might try it on my practice file first. If it's not a big deal, then I might do it. If not, I just won't do it. And last thing to note is the Amber Starlight is actually here in the location of the weathered map that we bought from Pidia, the Carrion Servant. However, in order to actually find the Starlight, we have to go up here into Altus Plateau, which is where Gideon told us about, so we can't do that just yet. Alright, so that pretty much takes care of a whole bunch of stuff so far. There's still a handful more things to do. I actually thought we were going to be able to get to Caled, but it looks like we've still got a little ways to go. So we'll do some more next time. For now, I want to thank you all for watching episode 70 of Let's Platinum Elden Ring. My name's Ultima456, you're the Ultimates, and I'll see you next time.